Charles Leclerc departed the pits, believing strategy would raise him. Lewis Hamilton went into Silverstone's wet-dry war zone with no guarantees, just intent. At the flag, Leclerc occupied P14, Hamilton P4, just short of P3. The disparity, not equipment, not fortune. It was mindset, track sensing, presence. Each Ferrari driver shared the same tool, but merely one made it a threat. Leclerc was stuck behind Gasly, lost time to Alonso, and sank in his own radio babble. Hamilton, he tore through competitors like a storm. Gasly, Stroll, Russell, clinical, decisive, quiet. He let his driving speak the message the team couldn't. This is how a champion leads under pressure. Silverstone didn't just show performance gap. It revealed a leadership vacuum and who's already filling it. It's not about setups anymore. It's about silent authority. And in a weekend of chaos, Hamilton imposed his. Leclerc, meanwhile, was still asking permission. What ensues will rock the very foundation Ferrari holds dear, because rain does not deceive, and legends do not plead to be told what to do. Lap 13. The heavens opened up, and with it a trial no simulator can prepare you for. Leclerc dithered, complained of spray, waited on the call. Hamilton, he experienced the grip disappear, called for wets. No question, no hesitation. His pit crew moved with lightning speed. That one moment isolated instinct from instruction. As Charles careened helplessly in no man's land, Lewis stalked. During those wild laps, he discovered pace, composure, and something more sinister. Rhythm, the kind that doesn't wonder what now, but commands, follow me. The clerks on the boat unloaded a driver overloaded. Oversteer, wheel spin, voice cracking on the radio. The car's not turning, while Hamilton was making adjustments to the brake bias, sensing the surface, and passing with clinical precision. It wasn't a question of who was in the better car. It was a question of who became the better map reader. In Formula One, when the circuit vanishes, the true map lies in the driver's belly. And at that point, Hamilton was not merely outrunning Leclerc. He was revealing him. Because when water sweeps over the asphalt, the person who reads it first doesn't merely win. He rewrites the order of the hierarchy. Two voices, same crew, but radios were telling different tales. The clerk's call on lap 18. Confusion, desperation. What are we doing? Do I box? He sounded more of a passenger than a hero. Meanwhile, Hamilton's voice, crisp, forceful, was that of a commander. Give me the window. I will handle it. He didn't request direction. He provided it. Ferrari boasts organization, but Silverstone laid it bare. The team responds to power, not din. Hamilton's orders were obeyed with urgency. The inquiries of the clerk procrastinated, argued, sometimes dismissed. In motorsport, words are might. Hamilton wields his like a scalpel. The clerk whips hers like a branch in the shadows. That difference is important when the conditions require clarity, not confusion. After the race, Charles accused the car of being unstable, but the reality is cruel. The team listened to the voice they trusted, because at Silverstone, radios were more than tools, they were mirrors, and what it showed was a pecking order already changing. Is Leclerc aware as well? Hülkenberg baited. Ferrari responded, but only for one driver. Lap 42 was meant to be Hamilton's catapult to the podium. The track was drying, the ins gone, and he was in DRS range of P3. Undercut was there, ready to be seized, and Ferrari for once heated. They pitted Lewis in. A lap later, Hülkenberg pitted and rejoined just in front. Just. One lap of temperature, one lap of freedom. The clerk, he was instructed to wait. Baffled, he remained out 2 additional laps, lost 5 seconds in traffic, and rejoined behind Alonso and Albon. Strategy, they referred to it as, but it was surrender masquerading as prudence. Hamilton's stop was a gamble, but it was his gamble, his call, his rhythm. He exited the pits like a man hunting history and nearly stole P3. Meanwhile, the clerk emerged lost, not just in position, but in purpose. That moment was more than tactical, it was symbolic. Ferrari had 2 drivers, but only one controlled his own destiny. And when lap 42 dissolves into the record books, it won't say pit stop, it'll say Hamilton leads. Even as he took orders, 239 races, no podiums until Silverstone. Nico Hülkenberg occupied the steps of history, but in his mirrors, Hamilton cast a shadow. From P6, Hamilton fought his way through the wreckage. When he went by Stroll, then Gasly, then Russell, The charge was made. Hülkenberg was only 4 seconds back, then 3, then 2. The grandstands erupted with each sector, and yet it wasn't quite sufficient. One lap too early on slicks, one snap of turn 3, one strategy call that prioritized reaction over aggression. Hülkenberg's Saba was stable, unflappable. Hamilton's Ferrari battling him every turn, but still the Brit pushed, not for the car he thought might carry him to the podium, but because he could shove it there. When Nico accepted the trophy, the world was ecstatic, but Lewis didn't require champagne. His message spoke louder. Even when defeated, I lead. It's easy to toast the man who surprises. What of the man who warns quietly, lap by lap, that he's coming? Because if Hamilton can do this with a snappy, reluctant Ferrari, imagine what happens the day they give him one that listens. No crash, no contact, no mechanical failure. And yet Charles Leclerc finished 14th behind Albon, behind Alonso, behind a damaged Russell. It wasn't a blowout. It was a slow unraveling, the kind that stings deeper. From lap 1, the Clerc struggled, wedged in trains of DRS, held up behind slower-moving cars, reactive rather than assertive. His passes were tentative, his radios full of doubt. At one stage, he even tried passing signs with a desperate lunge over wet curb, a move that shouted frustration, not strategy. The car was tricky, yes, but Hamilton used the same Ferrari to within punching distance of a podium. That's the comparison that burns, particularly in Maranello. Postra, Leclerc accusing fingers, conditions, tire calls, spray. No storm, though, just gradual erosion of confidence, of control, of perception. In a weekend where Hamilton turned mayhem into a canvas, Leclerc simply drowned within it. And when all is said and done, nobody will recall the excuses, but only the scoreboard. For in Formula One, silence does not translate to calm. Occasionally, it signifies collapse. It's such a simple thing, like constructing a wall and destroying it. Hamilton said it without anger, but with gravity. Not of setup, not of tires, of trust. Lap after lap, after race stripped away, he lays groundwork, gaining rhythm, stability, command. But just when it sustains, Ferrari alters something. An early pit call, an unseen shift in setup, a silence over the radio when clarity is most desired. Silverstone wasn't only wild and wet, it was symbolic. On Friday, Hamilton headed FP1. There was the balance. And then the fiddling began. Ride height, diff settings, rear stability eradicated. What was left was a car that refuses to sit still. And yet, he drove it back into the running order. This isn't now a technical issue. It's psychological attrition. How much can you reboot belief before it ceases to rebuild? When Lewis spoke, "You're kind of in no man's land," he wasn't really talking about corner entry. He was accusing, a whispered scream. Because for a driver such as Hamilton, lap time isn't the only measure of performance. It's connection with car, with crew, with purpose. And when that falters, the lap time is nothing more than a figure. The wall is lost. Within Ferrari, there is a whispered phrase that hangs in the air, alone until 2026. It reads like a contract stipulation, but really is isolation. Inside sources close to Maranello rumor that Hamilton's contributions are being recorded, but not driving. 2026 car simulator sessions on with Leclerc's manner as the standard. Primary aero updates fine-tuned by his feedback. Hamilton patiently waiting for the car to accommodate his hand, not merely his name. Silverstone confirmed the undercurrent. Hamilton is racing for Ferrari, just not with Ferrari. The delay in strategy, the radio mumblings, the post-race spin around learning, all lead to one truth. He's a visitor, a colossus in borrowed hues, held in awe, yet checked. That was what he had described as no man's land. Not lost in track, but marooned in a team where authority has not kept pace with his stature. The hope that Ferrari hired Hamilton to trail him, but to stall critics, peddle optimism. But if you offer Lewis Hamilton solitude instead of acceptance, he does not fade. He converts the quiet into rebellion. So we wonder, will Ferrari ever listen? Or will they lose the man who could have saved them? The next chapter won't be on TV, but it's writing itself already.